I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Starting from scratch, I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Starting from scratch, I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here as we get ready for our 31st race of the 8th season of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Just the Cup drivers here this weekend as they get ready for their 5th playoff race, the middle race of the round of 12, and sets us up for next week in our second elimination race of the season when we get to Arizona Speedway. We'll hook up with the Light Series drivers in a doubleheader there that weekend, but the Cup Series drivers stand alone here at the worn-out quad oval, mile-and-a-half in length, known as the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This racetrack has actually fluctuated in his positioning on the schedule ever since Season 1. From Season 1 to Season 5, it was the 4th race of the season. It pretty much got our season kicked off. But in the last couple of seasons, it was actually just before the playoffs. It was one of the racetracks that, in a sense, set up who was eventually going to make it into the battle for the championship and who wouldn't. And last year, actually, it played a huge part because the defending winner of this race, who's not in the field, Zach Rogers, went to victory lane. That win put him in the conversation for a wild card spot. And by the time we got to the regular season finale at Auto Club, by one position, Zach Rogers was able to get the final wildcard spot over Levi McIntyre. So this racetrack has played a huge part into the outcome of who's going to be battling for a championship. Now, for the very first time, it makes its appearance inside of the playoff schedule, as it's going to play a part now in who eventually is going to win the overall championship. And of course, as well, it's going to play a big part here this afternoon into potentially who is going to make their way into the next round of the playoffs, the round of 8. So far, our 12 remaining playoff drivers are having to point their way in. Last week, we saw a non-playoff driver go to victory lane, Dylan Young, finally snapping a long winless streak in his first win of the season. And so in the 3 previous playoff races we've had so far, only one playoff driver has gone to victory lane. That was James Qualls a couple of weeks ago at Nashville Super Speedway. Speaking of Dylan Young, he is one of, I believe, 4 former winners that are in the field here this afternoon, and we'll document them in just a little bit. But Quentin Moore joined the multi-poles club here yesterday as he captured his second pole of the season. Another driver that's looking to end a long winless streak, trying to get back to victory lane and try and make it 4 out of the 5 playoff races won by a non-playoff driver. Now, I mentioned this yesterday during the qualifying session. I'll mention it again here today. This particular Atlanta Motor Speedway is not track position heavy in terms of its emphasis, not nearly as much as Dover was last week, Road America back during the first round. This is a racetrack where you can work your way from the back to the front, and not just through pit strategy. If you've got a good car and you pick the right line, you can work your way forward. This is a very passable racetrack. So for drivers that didn't qualify all that well, I don't think they're in any panic mode just yet. It's 130 laps here this afternoon as well. Long time to be able to work your way up to the front. Dylan Young, 1 week removed from going back to victory lane at the Monster Mile. He's going to share the front row with Quentin Moore. A couple more Chevrolets back in row number 2. A couple of drivers looking for, one of those drivers looking for their first win of the season. And the Connor Breton machine, he's looking for his 4th win on the season, which would tie him for most with Destin Bolin. Of course, Connor Breton not one of our playoff contenders since he wasn't in the top 30 in points, and he still continued to struggle. He's 35th in points here ever since the regular season came to a close. Charles Samper, who is a former winner at this racetrack, won here back in season 6, trying to get back to victory lane as he will share the outside of row number 2. Looks like our highest starting playoff driver is going to be James Qualls. He'll start in 6th. Jack Mitchell in 7th. They are the only 2 drivers that are sporting the playoff spoilers that are going to start inside of the top 10. I think 14th place is the next highest playoff contender in Ryan Brommer. Well, let's go down trackside. Let's get those famous words in motorsports because we got 130 laps to run here this afternoon at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's get down to it.
Drivers, start your engines!
Right side of your screen, you see your 42-car starting lineup for this afternoon's festivities from Atlanta. Mentioned about the fact that 4 former winners from Atlanta are in the field here today. We've already documented Dylan Young and Charles Sanford starting on the outsides of rows 1 and 2. Jesse Turner was the first winner of this event all the way back in Season 1. And Carson Gum is a former winner here as well, winning in Season 2. The 3 drivers that are not in the field that are former winners here, Carter Friesen, Cole Baker, and defending winner Zach Rogers. 12 playoff contenders remain. Nobody is locked into the next round. If you win here this afternoon, you go into Arizona knowing that you are advancing into the Elite 8. But the non-playoff drivers have really been making their presence felt as well, denying these playoff contenders that golden ticket into the next round of the postseason. Will we see that again here today? Quentin Moore's Chevrolet, Dylan Young's Dodge will come out of turn number 4. They'll make their way down the D-shaped front straightaway, and playoff race number 5 from Atlanta is green. And we're going to waste no time going 3 wide as Connor Breton uses the downhill there into turn 1 to get to the inside of Quentin Moore. And he will clear it, looks like, off of turn number 2, leave him stacked up 3 wide behind him. Here comes Dylan Poteet with a run and help from Jack Mitchell. I mentioned this yesterday. We have run Atlanta earlier on this season, but that was the Super Speedway configuration for the All-Star break. Jack Mitchell, the winner of that. Not sure how much you can call upon in terms of that experience for today's race, but might be something worth squirreling away. Dylan versus Dylan for the second spot. As Connor Breton trying to control both of the lanes. That's Poteet on the bottom, Young on the top. Looks like we've gotten ourselves a little spread out here at the front of the field after we were stacked up 3 wide, quite a number of rows deep. And we'll start to see them spread out even more here as the tires start to wear. This is an abrasive racetrack, much like Dover was last week. We're going to see the pace backing down here the longer the run goes on. So that's why we're seeing the aggressive moves in the early going while you've got the fresh tires and you've got the maneuverability. Is Dylan Young going to get to the inside of Connor Breton? Challenge for the top position. Looking for his 2nd win in a row is Dylan Young. Only 1 driver this season has won back-to-back races, and that was Young's teammate Destin Bolin, when he ended up picking up 2 of his 4 victories after the All-Star break. Went back-to-back at Chicago Motor Speedway and New Hampshire. So Dylan Young trying to be the second driver to win back-to-back and second driver out of the Young Motorsports organization. Charles Sanford going to work his way by Connor Breton. So a couple of former winners from this racetrack, 1-2, and Breton with a late crossover there, nearly got into the left rear quarter panel of Sanford as they got to 3. And not going to be able to say with Charles out of turn 4. Sanford will take the 3rd spot. It's another former winner from this racetrack. Got to go all the way back to season 1, but Jesse Turner up here in the conversation. In the early going here, trying to get to the outside of Quentin Moore. That's side-by-side for the 5th spot. Looks like that outside line's actually finding some grip right now. Starting to rubber in there. Atlanta is a multi-groove racetrack, and you can see the run right there that both Dylan Pote and Jesse Turner were able to get around the outside of turn 4, moving to 3rd and 4th. So looks like the outside line turning into a viable option to make passes here. Only 7 laps in. That's encouraging for the remainder of this race. Well, one spot you do not want to be in when it comes to the playoffs, each round, each race of each round, is the cut line driver. And that's what Daniel Voiles is right now. He's going to be basically the determining factor on whether the cut line is going to be moving up or down in the standings at the conclusion of this race. 8th in points. He's got a couple of drivers just a single or 2 points ahead of him. A couple of drivers a single or 2 points behind him. Lot can change here depending on what goes on with this 26 car and what kind of scenarios we would have going into next week at Arizona. He's going to get forced 3 wide there by Nathan Ormond. Daniel Voiles right now running somewhere around the 13th to 14th position. As now he's just trying to find himself a safe spot there. Looks like he's going to try and tuck in front of Anthony McCrory, who now is going to get put up to the top 3 wide, courtesy of Cody Lamas. Just ahead of Daniel Voiles is Alexander Rowe. 1 week removed from almost pulling off the victory at Dover, which would have locked him into the next round of the playoffs. He was about half a car length short, made a great move going into turn 3, just couldn't get the momentum off of 4. Runner-up finish, though, puts him top of the point standings right now. 26 points to the good, so the goal for a driver is to get about 46, 47, 48. That's about the buffer line. That with the most points you can gain in a race, that you would be ahead of the cut line and you would be locked into the next round on points. If we can have back-to-back good races, Ken Alexander Rowe, he could find himself going into next week at Arizona, maybe locked into the next round without even having to worry about where he finishes at that 1.5 miles. His side-by-side is on for 4th. Jesse Turner continuing to try the inside line against Connor Breton. Pole sitter Quentin Moore is now faded back. He's side-by-side with Jack Mitchell. That is for the 6th position. And up front, Sanford took a look on Dylan Young, didn't commit to it, so Poteet will take advantage, and he'll look for the 2nd spot on the GoBowling.com Chevrolet. Dylan Young out in front, has led the last now 8 laps, and he'll keep them stacked up for the 2nd position, at least for the time being. Dylan Pote, another driver looking to go back to victory lane, was a multi-time winner last season, was in the Final 4 to compete for the championship as well. This season, they have just found no luck in that Fortnite Squad Racing Toyota, as he is 39th in points. That is next to last of all the full-time chartered drivers. So what a difference a season makes here, as there's been a lot of success out of the other car in that stable, Carson Gum, who's gone to victory lane 3 times. He's made it into the playoffs, obviously. Whatever they've been able to do for that 19 car has not translated over for the 31 car here in Season 8. Still stacked up here, double wide from 4th place on back. Joshua Osborne's made his way up here towards the front as he'll battle with his teammate side by side. Osborne started this race from 10th position, right now running in 7th. I'm looking to see if there's anybody that started out back that have made their way up towards the front yet. And as of right now, I'm not seeing that. Looks like most everybody up here started this race from inside of the top 15. maybe the driver I see that started the furthest back that's up there in that camera shot, maybe Nick Gunther, who's right now in the 11th position, and he started this race from 21st, so he has picked up 10 spots since the drop of the green flag. There's Keith Batson, he's another driver that's moved up, started 27th, now 13th, so he's picked up 14 spots since the drop of the green flag. So there are a couple of drivers that are working their way forward after starting mid-pack and now trying to crack up into the top 10. James Quall side by side with Jessica Shelton. This is just inside the top 10. This is the battle for 9th. Quall's right now the second highest running driver of the playoff contenders. Jack Mitchell right there ahead of him. And that might turn into a battle for 8th place between a couple of championship contending Chevrolets. So they're a bit wadded up in front of them there with Joanne Wood Motorsports teammates still side by side in Moore and Osborne. All three of the JAM cars now up inside of the top 10 along with Qualls. If you keep watching these drivers as they're going into the corner, you can see the flares coming out of the tailpipes there on the side of these race cars as they have to lift out of the throttle in preparation for the corner. I mentioned about the track being a worn out surface, and these lap times were going to taper off the longer the run went on. Already 18 laps into this race, and we are running a full half-second slower than we did at the start of this one. But Dylan Young continuing to lead, enjoying that clean air, which is a luxury at a track like Atlanta, because as the tires wear down, the tire heat builds in that right front. When you're coming off of the corners, specifically here off of turn 4, car wants to get really tight, and running in somebody else's draft, not having clean air to the nose, not having that downforce, makes that even worse. So when you've got clean air and you've got that turnability through the center of the corner, that is huge if you are Dylan Young. But Charles Sanford is sticking right there with him. Keeps getting some pretty nice runs there out of turn 2, just can't follow it up with the momentum. Gonna be 20 laps into this race. Let's go on board with the GoBowling.com Chevrolet as he works over the bumper of Dylan Young for the race lead here at Atlanta. Sanford fighting off a challenge there from Dylan Poteet, who got to his inside for second place a couple of times. Just couldn't get back to the throttle through the center, and now you see Poteet getting trapped down there. Connor Breeton's going to swing around as outside to take the third position. We'd usually look towards the back of the pack, see about playoff drivers that are struggling, and there's a trio of them right now that are looking to turn their fortunes here pretty quickly. One of them is Levi McIntyre. Right now he is in the 40th position. He is at the tail end of this lead pack still, but I don't know if this is a case of they're just riding or if they... I'm not exactly sure. Levi started 26, so he started around mid-pack. While we've seen some drivers be able to work their way forward, he has slipped back. Reggie Fogelman, see him just up ahead. He started 34th. He was last time by scored in 37th, and he had an incredible first round of the playoffs, had himself locked into the next round before they even took the green flag at the elimination race in Nashville. Not the same case here in round 2. And I also noticed it was Matt Haas, and there he is. He's in the 28th position right now, coming off a poor performance last week at Dover, and you cannot afford back-to-back bad races here in a 3-race round. Otherwise, Matt Haas, he could find himself going into next week at Arizona, potentially in a must-win situation. 23rd, 24th right there for Alexander Rowe, RJ Bishop. Rowe has slipped back. He was up there inside of the top 15, but now he's outside of the top 20. Carson Gum, he started this race from 25th, and right now he's in 20th place, trying to work his way forward. A couple more playoff drivers right there in Destin Bolin and Ryan Brommer. Destin started 19th, he's 18th. Brommer started 14th, he has slipped back now to 19th place. Trying to take 18th from Destin Bolin. We're definitely seeing comers and goers here. Quentin Moore started this race from the pole position, and he's now under fire for 8th from Jack Mitchell. Biggest mover of this race so far has to be Keith Batson. He's just made it up into the top 10 after starting this race from 27th. So very impressive speed out of that KB Racing Enterprises Dark Horse Mustang. And Nick Gunther started 21st. He's picked up 10 spots up to 11th position right now. Well, one thing that we have here that's keeps us kind of in the dark when we end up having just the Cup Series drivers for a race weekend is we don't have a precursor of knowing what the fuel window is for these drivers. Usually the Light Series drivers give us that indicator. About 30 laps into this run, and we'll have to see just how far these drivers can go. I don't think they can make it 65 laps on a tank of fuel to make this a one-stop race. I could be wrong, but I'd be shocked about that. I think we're going to probably be seeing this around a 2-stop race. My concern is that the fuel window may end up being somewhere around 40 laps, and if that is the case, then that actually will make things really interesting if we end up having this continue to be a green flag trending event, because that would put them at a 2-stop with 10 laps short to the finish, and we have seen a lot of races actually hold the phone. I think we're coming to pit road right now. So about 30 laps we can get here on the run. That changes it even more. Dylan Young, Charles Sanford coming in. Regularly scheduled pit stops here. So now that means that this is going to be a 3-stop race. Connor Breton is going to inherit the race lead after the top 2 came to pit road. Atlanta's not a difficult racetrack to get onto pit lane. The big issue is what we saw right there, the kind of the stack up for the rest of the field as drivers are slowing for pit road entry. Doesn't look like anybody's coming down here this lap, only the top 2. Some towards the back of the pack here coming in. A couple of Northeast Motorsports Chevrolets and Benjamin Miles and Casey Hoyt, last year's Rookie of the Year, RJ Bishop, one of our playoff drivers on pit road. First of the playoff drivers to hit pit lane, as a matter of fact. And here comes some more. I think Breton's coming in, Poteet, Turner, Mitchell, Osborne, and others. It's like Keith Batson's going to stay out to lead a lap. Voiles, Shelton, and others going to stay out. There's a bunch of drivers coming down, bunch of playoff drivers. We were 3 wide back there. Matt Haas had to squeeze his way to the outside of Nathan Ormond. Batson did indeed lead the lap. Daniel Voiles stayed out an extra lap. I think he wanted the bonus point as well, with him being in that crucial 8th position in the standings. Rookie Summer Henson also stayed out. Looks like those drivers are going to come down pit road here. See if anybody else stays out any longer. Somebody did. Matt McIntyre going to stay out even longer than everybody else. He'll get himself a bonus point for a lap led. We'll see what this does for the Mako's Mermaids Dark Horse Mustang out of Michael Norman Motorsports, who right now is one of 2 drivers from the organization yet to go to victory lane, Michael Norman and Nathan Ormond, former winners this season for the team. And it looks like Matt will be coming down this time, but all by his lonesome. Started 37th. We'll see if this strategy maybe gains him any type of track position. Who the race lead cycles around to, I'm not certain. Maybe RJ Bishop? Let's see. Is he going to be scored ahead of the 2 is the question. And it looks like he is. Dylan Young, remember, was the leader when this cycle began. But I believe he's going to get leapfrogged by Bishop and Miles. And RJ Bishop may end up being the new race leader when everything is all said and done. We'll wait and see here. Comes all down to your execution coming to pit road, on pit road, leaving pit road. And of course as well, this is a racetrack that does rely quite a bit on draft. So if you come down pit road with somebody, it's very likely that you're going to leave pit road with somebody and get maybe a better up-to-speed lap in a bigger pack than others would. I believe that Matt McIntyre was still scoring the lead of that previous lap, but I think RJ Bishop's going to be the leader. He was second when they crossed the stripe that time by. So a great pit stop there for the driver out of Young Motorsports as he's searching for his second win on the season. And as he crosses the line, officially, number 98 jumps to P1 on the board. Miles will jump up behind him to second, and Dylan Young, who led the opening 25 laps, will now find himself back in the third position. Jesse Turner is going to be fourth. Casey Hoyt, who came down pit road same lap as Bishop and Miles, he's now up to fifth. Sixth position is going to be Keith Batson. He's now under fire. Here comes Summer Henson for the spot. That's sixth and seventh. Joshua Osborne right now will be in eighth, and then we're 3 wide for 9th, 10th, 11th with McCrory, Poteet, and Voiles. Matt Haas in this group, along with Nick Gunther, Connor Breton, Jack Mitchell, and Jessica Shelton. Ryan Brommer trying to stay latched on as well. Looks like that pitting late may have been a net gain for Matt McIntyre. There he is, 19th place, and he'll have the freshest tires in the field as he's trying to catch up to his teammate Nathan Ormond. Keep tabs on that here. Everybody should have to pit at least 2 more times in this race, but we saw, obviously, you can gain and lose spots on pit road. So we'll be following that here when we get to our next cycle of pit stops, which projected, based off what we just saw right there, will be somewhere between laps 58 to 62. About 21 laps from now. Dylan Young trying to get up there behind his teammate as he works to the outside of Benjamin Miles. Ooh, tried to clear himself. Miles said not so fast and stayed to the left rear. Had some news here this past week from Benjamin Miles, as with the new format next season of every team only allowed 3 chartered drivers per team, Benjamin Miles will be leaving Northeast Motorsports next season. His landing place, his new landing place, has not yet been announced, but we'll see what Benjamin Miles is going to have in store for Season 9. As I believe that all of the other 3 drivers, Casey Hoyt, Connor Breton, Austin LaPlante, have confirmed they are returning to Northeast Motorsports for the 9th season of the Cup Series. Some other teams that we're still waiting for all of their official announcements and whatnot. No, RJ Bishop's returning to Young Motorsports, so too is Dylan Young. We've yet to hear anything about officially for some other drivers here in the field, but keep an eye on the Discord and the Silly Season tab. Probably going to see some announcements here down the home stretch of Season 8 for sure in preparation for Season 9, as Benjamin Miles will go to the point. And just like that, Young Motorsports are 1-2. Now it's Northeast Motorsports. Miles with the lead. Hoyt will move into second. A couple of drivers that really need to find victory lane here, just to kind of, I don't know, cool the burns, I guess, of this season. Benjamin Miles, I mean, beginning of the season, Benjamin Miles was looking like a legit championship contender. He was consistently up inside of the top 10 in points, and then all of a sudden they hit a portion of the season where he just began to free fall. And now coming into this race, Benjamin Miles is 18th in points. They've started to kind of build it back up a little bit here as we've entered towards the close of the regular season and into the playoffs. So the momentum is kind of coming back, and he's trying to ride that momentum. For Casey Hoyt, of course, riding the high from being a multi-time winner last season, making the playoffs, winning Rookie of the Year this season, though. He's only had 5 finishes inside of the top 5, 8 top 10s, and he is 29th in points, as he's now the new race leader here. Of course, as well, there was a lot of hype of him moving over to Northeast Motorsports, a strong sophomore driver going over to an organization that has put this 24 in victory lane multiple times. I mean, you can go back to just one season ago. Matthew Rodriguez moved over to Northeast Motorsports during the playoffs and went to victory lane in this car, but they just have not found the success for Casey Hoyt. Opportunity here for his 4th win on his career, his very young career here. So we've got a 5-car breakaway. I'm also hearing some idling engines up ahead. Benjamin Snyder has lost the lead pack. Matter of fact, a couple of the Blue Oval Automotive cars are quite a ways back there in 40th and 41st. And Snyder and Trey Wright. I also just checked our intervals here, and former winner at this racetrack, Charles Sanford, is currently being scored 1 lap down. There he is. Up to speed. Looks like there's no damage, but he is off the lead lap right now in the 42nd position. And look who's just ahead of him, Levi McIntyre, the furthest down on the lineup of our playoff contenders, and he is a long ways back. Same for Destin Bolin and Reggie Fogelman. So there are a bunch of playoff drivers here right now. James Qualls as well, Alexander Rowe. Oh boy, these guys are not looking like they are in the best of shape heading into next week for Arizona. Levi is a former winner at that racetrack, so if it ends up being where he's in a must-win situation, I wouldn't exactly count him out, but as the last thing you want to do is have back-to-back mediocre weeks at tracks like Dover and Atlanta. We'll have to see here how this plays out. It's not over yet. A caution could change everything as well. We'll have to see, as we've not even reached halfway in this event. And teammates are side by side for the race lead. Hoyt trying to hold off the advance of Benjamin Miles. Now RJ Bishop trying to swing around the outside, and he'll have to go way up top because Jesse Turner's going to stick it on the bottom and make it 3 wide. Casey Hoyt says thank you very much, as he's going to pull away from that. Bishop will swing around for the 2nd position. 5 drivers in this lead group duking it out for the top spot. I'm surprised that the 2nd group hasn't reeled them in yet with all the battling they're doing. They're being led right now by Summer Henson, and looking at the lap times right now, they're about 2 to 3 tenths faster. They just haven't been able to get themselves organized up long enough to be able to reel the top 5 in. A couple of the Mazdas doing really well here this afternoon. Nick Gunther and Anthony McCurry, 8th and 9th position as they run. The 3rd Mazda, Autumn Brooks, failed to qualify for this race, along with Bryce Egan and Kyle Langland. Trey Wright, we saw one of the Go Home drivers, is currently running towards the tail end of the field in 40th. And Hiccup Bush, who is making his 3rd start on the season, is currently mired back in 26th. I was wondering if we would end up seeing a strong run here out of Hiccup Bush, as in his previous 3 starts, he has finished in the top 10 twice, but does not look like, at least for the moment, he's got the speed necessary to get up here to the front, as we're about 10 laps away from when we'll be seeing drivers make their 2nd dive onto pit road, and I would assume that Dylan Young may be one of those that will set the benchmark once again. He was the first one to dive onto pit lane on the first cycle of pit stops, and the driver that came down right behind him was Charles Sanford. So, very curious to know how Sanford ended up losing the lap that he currently has, putting him last on the board right now. All 42 cars are running, 41 of them currently on the lead lap. Fastest lap of the race, a driver that we have not talked about at all today, and a big reason for that is he is currently back outside of the top 15, but just shows how much the draft comes into play. Kyle Matthews, fastest lap of this race at a 29.074, equating to 188.835 miles per hour. Now shows the prevalence of the draft. This pack of 5 going to reel in the single car of Benjamin Snyder, and they will be putting him a lap down here, more than likely in the next lap or 2. As Casey Hoyt continues to lead, it becomes the second driver to hit double-digit laps led. Dylan Young, the other one, with 25 circuits out in front. Benjamin Miles trying to slingshot there on R.J. Bishop for second place. Dylan Young tried to get to the left rear quarter panel of Jesse Turner. Big reason, here comes the rest of that pack. They finally have reeled him in. Summer Henson, Joshua Osborne, Nick Gunther. They're going to now start going to work from running in the top 10 to trying to get up inside of the top 5. Nice job here this afternoon for Daniel Voiles, cut line driver, 8th in the standings. Right now in the 11th position, doing exactly what he needs to do. And how about Matt Haas? We were talking about him before the pit stops, that he was in trouble. He was the third lowest of the playoff contenders. He's now up to 14th place. So pit stops, pit road, it's definitely playing its part into the fortunes and misfortunes of those that are battling for this championship right now. They've caught the 38 of Benjamin Snyder. May not necessarily be an easy pass here, though, as now Casey Hoyt's going to have dirty air on the nose, and with catching him being technically now in the draft, Snyder should be up to speed. He's not off the pace at all. He's not damaged. It's just a matter of the execution on pit lane where he cycled around to, and you can see that he is able to maintain a gap between himself and the 24. R.J. Bishop will look to take advantage of that, but now he gets moved up the racetrack. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead coming off of turn 4. We're stacked up behind them double wide with Henson and Turner. And who is going to win out in this battle as they accordion up there? Going into one, it will be Miles with the shorter way around the racetrack. That will go back to the front. We've got about 16, 17 drivers now up in this lead pack. After the field was super spread out at the conclusion of our first cycle of pit stops, guess what? It's going to get spread out again pretty soon, because we are within that window now where drivers are going to have to start coming to pit road once again. And Dylan Young is trapped up there on the outside line, so if he was thinking about being one of the first ones onto pit road, he's going to have a tough task of getting on there, as he's in a sense kind of boxed out. He went about 29 laps on the first run. That was when he was out in front in clean air. He might be able to go a little bit further here, but I wouldn't think he'd be able to go that much further. He's going to have to probably pit here in the next lap or two. He's still trapped there on that outside line. He's got to find his way down there. He can't cut down across the track into somebody, because I'm not necessarily certain anybody else will be coming down pit road with him. Looks like he'll at least get to lap 60 here. Of the drivers up here that have led most of this run, you'd have to think Benjamin Miles might be one of the first ones onto pit road. Remember, he, Bishop, and Hoyt all came to pit road together. Summer Henson now going to move into the second spot, looking for her second win on the season. She won it another 1.5 miles earlier on this year, Homestead. Here comes Bishop to pit road. Casey Hoyt's coming in as well. So everybody really have to move up the racetrack there to give them the space necessary. And they were 3 wide for a brief moment there as well. So we were almost looking 4 wide. So Bishop, Hoyt are in. Surprisingly, Benjamin Miles didn't come down there with him. He was with that group on the first pit stop cycle. And it looks like he's coming in this time. Henson's going to stay out. Who else is going to come down here this lap with the Napa Chevrolet? Dylan Young flying right up to the back bumper there of Benjamin Miles, making up a lot of time. And it looks like those are going to be the only 2 that are going to come down pit road this lap. Levi McIntyre coming in here as well, as he continues to struggle right now in the 37th position. Henson now the new race leader. That was her first lap led so far today. Looks like Benjamin Snyder's coming in. Henson's going to stay out. Osborne's in. Mitchell is in. It's Trey Wright just up ahead of the leaders as well, tail end of the lead lap. Eric Monaco's coming in, so too is Zachary Fitzwater. Cole Deaver, who started shotgun on the field, Destin Bolin, Charles Sanford, the lap machine. Looks like Casey Hoyt won the battle off pit road between himself and RJ Bishop. We'll see if that eventually is going to be the race lead as Henson stays out yet another lap along with Turner. Gunther's in. His teammate McCrory coming in as well. Ryan Brommer, Matt Haas, some playoff drivers there. Nathan Ormond, Kyler Sustre, Hiccup Bush, Carson Gum, all on pit lane. How much further can Summer Henson go is going to be the question. Everybody's going to still have to make one more pit stop before the conclusion of this race. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Henson's coming in this time. Turner is in as well. Shelton, Poteet. Looks like maybe Daniel Voyle stayed out an extra lap in the 26. Didn't get that bonus point for a lap led earlier, so getting it now. Being that 8th in the standings driver. Austin LaPlante, I believe, also stayed out an extra lap. Yes, he did. So those are the last two that we would be waiting on for the pit stop cycle to be complete. Voiles is going to come down this time. LaPlante is going to follow. And this will be your race lead exchange. Benjamin Miles' team gets it done on pit lane. And looks like he will be the leader once everything is completed with the pit stop cycle. Hoyt would be second and Bishop in third. So good execution there by the Napa Chevrolet team. Miles is right now being scored in 16th as we're waiting for everything to cycle around here. It'll take a couple of laps, I think, before he eventually goes up to the top of the leaderboard. Got a number of drivers being scored a lap down as well, but that will all cycle itself out momentarily as Miles just ran his fastest lap of the race right there with a 29.364. He's got the 8 of the draft of Trey Wright in front of him, as well as the fresh Goodyear tires underneath him. He just cycled up to third, so yeah, he'll bypass both Voiles and LaPlante here, or should, when he comes around to the stripe this time, and should put him at P1. Miles has led 7 laps so far here in this race, and right there with crossing the line, that will be his 8th circuit out in front. Casey Hoyt battling with RJ Bishop for second and third. 4th place right now is going to be Nick Gunther, but again, look at the gap that was built up for those top 3. Osborne in the 5th spot, 6th for Summer Henson. Anthony McCurry is going to be in 7th, 8th place for Dylan Young. 9th is Matt Haas, who continues to climb his way up through the running order, and his teammate Kyler Sustre is going to be in the 10th position. Matt McIntyre in 11th. Kyle Matthews now working his way into 12th. Jesse Turner drops back to 13th place. 14th, Jack Mitchell, and 15th place will be Ryan Brommer. Let's find out where the rest of our playoff drivers are. As 17th is Carson Gum. 19th for Daniel Voiles. Long ways back to Reggie Fogelman, who's in 29th. Alexander Rowe, 31st. Levi McIntyre is 34th. James Qualls, 35th. Destin Bolin is 37th place. Boy, our pole sitter, Quentin Moore, has dropped all the way back to 38th position. 39th there for Caleb Fogler. I believe that means that three of the 4 Blue Oval Automotive cars are running pretty much towards the back of the pack. Caleb is 39th, Trey is 42nd, or 40th I should say, and Benjamin Snyder is 41st. The best running of Blue Oval Automotive right now is Zachary Fitzwater, and he's not even running well. He's back in 28th. So whatever setup they put in the Blue Oval Automotive Ford Mustangs, it has not worked this race weekend completely across the board. This is a perfect scenario if you're Benjamin Miles, in fact, of fuel, because now you're getting the benefit of the draft of the 82 in front of you, which allows you to extend the window of when you're going to make that final pit stop. The thing that is not good for him is he doesn't have clean air, so he's dealing with the tight sensation everybody else behind him is dealing with. But with them having a 5-car pack here, a couple of, well, one lap machine, one tail end of the lead lap machine there, bookending them with Snyder and Wright, it's allowing this group of 3 to be able to open up a bit of a gap to 4th place on back. Looking at lap times here right now, Benjamin Miles and this group are running 29.5s. The second group, being led by Nick Gunther, they are running high 29.4s. So while they are closing in, they are not closing in rapidly, and they're actually kind of battling amongst themselves here. So this is exactly the kind of a scenario that Miles, Bishop, and Hoyt love, because they can kind of keep it amongst themselves for the time being. Now, we did see the then lead pack get reeled in by the second pack just about when we got to the second round of green flag pit stops. We could see the same scenario happen here. That final round of pit stops going to be somewhere in the vicinity of lap 90 to 95, I'm being told, and we should, well, I was going to say we should be able to make it the rest of the way there at that point, but now I'm not exactly sure about that. I think we're going to have 2 more pit stops before this race is over. Bishop looking for the race lead. Has a run, but doesn't look like he's got quite the momentum he needs. He is going to have help from another Ford behind him. Well, momentarily there with Benjamin Snyder, but now Snyder moves back up to the top, so that will help the straight line speed of Miles. Now Casey Hoyt on the inside line. Ooh, but Bishop really had to lift. You can see right there, very slow on the bottom of the racetrack, and stacked both himself and Casey Hoyt up. They're going to lose a little bit of ground now to Miles for that top position. Looks like that second group is closing up. Their lap time's looking good. They continue to be about a tenth and a half quicker than these drivers, and if they keep going side by side like they were momentarily, that's going to help this group as well. Nick Gunther, Summer Henson trying to close up here. Gunther right now is the highest, or second highest run, I should say, of our playoff drivers. And right now, it looks like it would be he, Bishop, Matt Haas, maybe Jack Mitchell, Daniel Voiles back there, Ryan Brommer, who'd be up in this lead group. Remember, what are they looking for? A victory. Why? It's an automatic lock into the next round of the playoffs. With another racetrack coming up here next week, Arizona Speedway, that is all about pit strategy. Snyder trying to get his lap back from Benjamin Miles. Benjamin versus Benjamin right now. The 25 and the 38. 38 is not on the lead lap. And Casey Hoyt trying to use the lap machine as a drafting pick to get by RJ Bishop for second. He will do so, but look at the run that Nick Gunther and company are getting here. They're in the draft, and they are going to close up here on this lap. RJ Bishop's going to be a sitting duck. And suddenly, what was a 3-car breakaway is going to become roughly a 20-car pack here. About 10 laps away from when they'll be making their third round of green flag pit stops. I believe that the last car in this group would be the 39 of Keith Batson. Yep, there he is in the 20th spot. Then you got this group back here, 21st place on back, and they'd like to catch up, but right now I'm not sure they can. They are running about 4.5 seconds behind the first pack, the tail end of the first pack. So they might be falling into the category of needing a yellow to get back into this thing. Hiccup Bush, Jessica Shelton, Dylan Poteet in this pack. Still follow the struggles of playoff drivers back here as Alexander Rowe is 31st, Reggie Fogelman 32nd, Levi McIntyre 34th, James Qualls 35th, Destin Bolin 38th. The point standings around the cut line were really, really close. And below the cut line were really close. I mean, the 4 drivers below the cut line, the furthest down was only sitting 9 points back. I mean, single digits. I have a feeling that if things don't change for a number of those playoff drivers there towards the rear of the field, specifically those outside of the top 30, they are going to have a huge points deficit that they're going to have to combat when we get to Arizona next week. As here we go. Miles has got some new company, and it's in the form of Nick Gunther in the 55, Summer Henson in the 78, Anthony McCurry now working his way up here in the 61. Look at all the non-playoff drivers we've got up here. Miles is doing a good job of controlling these lines. This track is draft reliant, but it's not a super speedway like the Atlanta version that we were at for the All-Star race break. However, you do have to control the lanes in terms of making sure you, A, determine which lane gets the run, B, you keep dirty air on the nose of the car that's trying to get the run on you. That car right now is Nick Gunther, who managed to get to the left rear quarter panel. He's going to snipe a lap lead there from Benjamin Miles, but can he complete the pass is the question. Trying to get back to the throttle here out of 2. I believe he's clear. Let's see if he goes up. And yes, he is clear. Gunther to the lead for the first time here this afternoon at Atlanta. Summer Henson will move on by for second place. Gunther going to become, I believe, only the third playoff driver to lead a lap here today. Daniel Voiles and RJ Bishop were the other 2. Gunther started this race from 21st. We mentioned that this is a racetrack where you can pass at. Summer Henson started 29th. And now up in the 2nd spot. Heck, Benjamin Miles, he started this race from 39th position. And he's had one of the strongest cars in the field. Casey Hoyt back there with him, started in the last row, 41st. So as I said, this is a racetrack you can definitely make passes at. And track position doesn't mean a whole lot right out of the gate. You can make your own fortune. You can make that track position up. How about Kyler Sustre up here, now in the 5th position. Another driver who started out back. 38th off the grid for the Mobil 1 Toyota Camry. And he's looking really good here in the late stages as Summer Henson swung around the outside of Nick Gunther to take the race lead. Gunther now under fire from his teammate out of Garage 55, Anthony McCurry, and Summer going to try and put that 82 of Trey Wright a lap down in the rearview mirror. Gunther will follow on that inside line. So far this season, we've only had, I'm correct, I was going to say only. We've had 3 of our full-time rookies go to victory lane, with Henson back at Homestead. Eric Sadler got things started back at North Wilkesboro, and most recently kicking off the playoffs at Gateway, Eric Monaco. Summer Henson in a fierce battle still with Monaco for the rookie points lead. 1 point, Eric Monaco over Summer Henson coming into this week at Atlanta. And Summer trying to be the first rookie here in Season 8 to go to victory lane multiple times. We've seen it happen in the past. Alexander Rowe, Will Goss. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Alexander Rowe. I meant to say Casey Hoyt, rather. Will Goss, Connor Breton have all ended up in their rookie seasons winning multiple races in the last couple of years. Pit road's going to be a busy place here in a minute. We've crossed lap 90. And they're still going to have to, according to what I'm seeing here, they're still going to have to make one more pit stop. Only way that they can make it the rest of the way is if they come to pit road around lap 100. I don't know if anybody can stretch it that far. Daniel Voiles stretched it the furthest. He and LaPlante stretched it the furthest on that last round, and I think even then they came to pit road where they would be projected. They would be about 3 to 4 laps short. Speaking of LaPlante, just noticed him up here. Take a look at that. Great run for the 48 car. Northeast Motorsports has brought some fast Chevrolets here this week. We saw Connor Breeden up front early on in this one. Miles and LaPlante and Hoyt have all been up here at the front. That's a little slow there. Trey Wright was coming to pit lane. It stacked them all up. There is Casey Hoyt along with RJ Bishop all coming in. Levi McIntyre on pit road ahead of them. Yeah, really split up the pack there, having to woe up for the 82 coming to pit lane. Looks like somebody just broke off from the tail end of this group. That was Miles. Mitchell in along with Dylan Young. Charles Sanford was on pit road the previous lap. Levi McIntyre leaving pit road as Henson continues to lead. I believe Summer Henson stayed out pretty long on the last cycle. It's like Gunther's coming down this time. Kyler Sustre diving in just ahead of him. Oh, I heard some squealing. Did we have a problem back here? Yes, we did. Look out. This might bring out the caution. Yes, it will. Oh, man, that is not what some drivers wanted to see. I guarantee you of that, especially those that have just been on pit road. Problems for Keith Batson. I believe Matt Haas might have been the other driver involved in this. And the yellow flag is going to wave for the first time here today. And this is a big one. I mean, these guys right here, Mitchell, Miles. This is not what they wanted to see. There was definitely front end damage on Matt Haas. There's also right side damage on Jesse Turner's 47. And Henson's the leader, going to bring him down pit road. The timing of this caution could not be worse for a number of drivers. And Anthony staying out along with LaPlante. I don't understand this strategy at all. I mean, unless you're going to maybe come to pit road next time around and try and stretch it. But I don't, well, I don't know. I don't know if you can make it the rest of the way here now, because we're going to be going green maybe on around lap 100, which would put us near 30 laps to go. You might be able to make it the rest of the way. I don't understand, though, the 61, the 48, the 88 all staying out. Why would you do this? This strategy does not make sense to me. We had a lot more drivers involved in this wreck than originally I thought. I thought it was a 2-car incident, but we've got some drivers that have already gone to the garage area after what just occurred there over in 3 and 4. Here's a look at what exactly happened. Try and figure out who we should have the camera focused on. I believe it has to do with Levi McIntyre merging back up onto the racetrack as drivers were getting ready to come to pit road. 23 of Nathan Orman there turns down into Levi McIntyre. There is where Jesse Turner and Keith Batson are collected. And then there's Jessica Shelton coming in, nowhere to go. I believe that she had pulled down to the apron to avoid massive contact with the right front of her McDonald's Dodge Intrepid. Let's take another look at it here. It looked like, at least from the initial camera angle, that McIntyre held his line down there in the bottom. Orman just turns down into his right rear. Yeah. I think Orman was trying to come to pit road. He just didn't time that correctly. Brommer got a slight piece of it there in the 87. So another playoff driver. And then there's Shelton with the hit to Nathan Orman. So that was 3 playoff contenders involved in that wreck right there. McIntyre, Brommer, and Matt Haas. Let's follow the 8 of Matt Haas, see what kind of damage he got out of this. Saw him as they were pacing. The hood was pretty well buckled up. And he was putting together such a good race. Was in the 12th position after he started back in 30th. And where do you go here? There's nowhere to go. Some pretty good contact there for his Toyota. I think every single side of that car has got some damage. The front, the back, both sides. So we try and figure out where everybody's supposed to be running here. I believe that McCrory, LaPlante, those drivers did come to pit road. So they did play the strategy of staying out the extra lap, then coming down, and getting themselves situated. Okay, we got to figure out who the leader even is right now. I believe it's going to end up being Carson Gum. How? Don't ask me. I have no idea. But scoring has the 19 now out in front as the leader of this race. Dylan Young is second with Fitzwater, Henson, and Matt McIntyre, your top 5. So after what just happened, you're going to have Benjamin Miles, Hiccup Bush, Eric Monaco, Casey Hoyt, Cole Deaver, Caleb Fogler on the tail end of the lead lap in front of the leader. You've got drivers who were scored a lap down on the inside line, which include Trey Wright, Charles Sanford, Benjamin Snyder, Jack Mitchell, RJ Bishop, Quentin Moore, Destin Boland. I believe that back to Bishop there. They'll be on the tail end of the lead lap when we cross the stripe, as Moore will start alongside of the leader and Destin Boland will be behind the race leader. They've got a chance, though, of racing their way back onto the tail end of the lead lap. Then they're hoping for a yellow to save them. But that is 1, 2, 3, 4 playoff drivers right there. Boland, Mitchell, Bishop, and McIntyre. That caution did not help whatsoever. We're going to go green with 32 to go. Let's see if everyone can make it on fuel. LaPlante, McCrory, those drivers that stayed out the extra lap going to restart back in 21st, 22nd place. Do they have enough time to work their way up here to the front will be the question, as Levi McIntyre clearly off the pace. Pulls down in front of that inside line. That's going to hurt Mitchell, Bishop. Their chances of getting back on the lead lap as Carson Gum's going to pull away from him. 3 drivers out of the race after that wreck. Playoff driver Matt Haas, DNF here in this second playoff race of the round of 12. Jessica Shelton, Nathan Ormond also out of the race. They'll finish 40th, 41st, 42nd this afternoon at Atlanta. Again, I have no idea how Carson Gum got up here. I don't know what the strategy was that played out for him to be able to get the race lead, but he's here, and he's looking for his 4th win on the season. He's looking for an automatic ticket into the round of 8. They are stacked up in front of him double wide. His drivers up here ahead of him are actually all battling for position on the tail end of the lead lap. Dylan Young going to close up here in second. He's bringing Zachary Fitzwater along with him. Highest running that Fitzy's been so far here today. The shining hope for Blue Oval Automotive, if you will, as Fogler, Wright, and Snyder are all literally running ahead of the race leaders here right now in the tail end of the lead lap. And Dylan Young now goes to the inside of Carson Gum for the race lead. Matt McIntyre is now up to 4th position. Trying to close up there on the top 3. Kyle Matthews is in 5th. Reggie Fogelman is now up to 6th. He was one of the drivers that we were thinking was going to be in trouble this weekend. He was mired back outside of the top 25. Michael Norman, former winner on the season, is up in 7th. Dylan Poteet is now 8th. We're 3 wide back here. There's LaPlante, who we assume can make it on fuel here. He's the highest run, I believe, of the drivers that pitted at the second lap here of pacing. Let's keep an eye on that 48. I think he's all go right now. Tucked in behind Kyler Sustre. RJ, I believe, is up to speed. Matt McIntyre trying to use him here to get up there to the front. Dylan Young could not get the lead from Carson Gum. He'll actually lose second to Fitzwater, who now works the inside of his Blue Oval Automotive teammate Caleb Fogler. And here comes McIntyre, Matthews, Fogelman, Norman. That's Carson Gum in the middle, 3 wide there with some lap traffic. Cole Deaver to his outside. Try and split the middle there with Benjamin Snyder. Here comes Caleb Fogler on the inside line, so Carson will be in the middle, 3 wide once again. Carson was below the cut line coming into this race. At the conclusion of Dover, he dropped from 2nd in overall points to 11th. He was a total of 7 points below 8th in the standings. A win here today, he's locked into the next round of the playoffs. But Fitzy is down there on the bottom. He's trying to get by his teammate Caleb Fogler. Not going to be able to do it right now. A bit of a wall built between him and the 19. And here comes the rest of those drivers I was talking about. They've reeled in the top 3. McIntyre, Matthews, Fogelman, Norman. And as they continue to battle up here, I think that this group of lead lap cars is just going to get bigger and bigger. Now it's about positioning yourself with the traffic. Carson continues to get stuck there to the outside line. I say stuck, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We've seen since the drop of the green flag, about 10-15 laps in, that top line got rubbered in. And it's been doing a good job of being able to get those runs off of the corner. Inside line, maybe the shorter way around the racetrack, but you're not able to quite get back to the throttle as soon as you would like. And Carson will cover the inside line, not allow Fitzwater to get to his inside here through 3 and 4. There's still a long ways to go in this race as well. And a lot of these cars up here, this traffic, if you will, are all up to speed. They just end up losing a ton of track position on those green flag pit stop cycles. So it's not an easy pass for the race leaders at all. As a matter of fact, I'd be concerned if I'm Carson Gum right now. I've gotten pinned to the bottom. Dylan Young has found his way up to the top. If Deaver's able to get around Carson Gum to get back in the tail and lead lap, Dylan Young might look to capitalize as well. He's now 3 wide with Fitzwater. Look at Bishop with a run. Uh-oh, slow car there that they've caught. That's Levi McIntyre in the 99, holding up a bunch of drivers. Everybody diving down to the bottom to get by him, sticking him to the top, 3 wide. Levi is obviously off the pace, and he is a moving chicane right now, going to hold up Deaver, Young, Sustre, and others. Now they'll put him up to the top side once again. I believe Dylan Young did get through that, or make that Carson Gum, I should say, still with the race lead intact. RJ Bishop gained a ton of time right there, but he is a lap down. Fogelman now moves into the 2nd spot. It'll be Toyota versus Toyota. A couple of playoff contenders here looking for that automatic lock into the round of 8. As Fogelman pulls right up to the back bumper of Carson Gum here out of 4. Fitzwater still in 3rd. Norman is now up into 4th, and Kyle Matthews currently in the 5th position. Plant and McIntyre kind of mired back here, boxed in behind Hiccup Bush and Benjamin Miles. Summer Henson still up here inside of the top 10, battling for Rookie of the Race with Daniel Bouchard, who will move to the inside. Following in the tire tracks, it was Michael Norman Motorsports teammate Matt McIntyre, Anthony McCurry holding down the final spot inside of the top 10 right now. Back up to the front, Carson Gum trying the outside line against RJ Bishop with less than 20 to go. He'll now move back down to the bottom. Covers the lane of Reggie Fogelman. Michael Norman just got by Fitzwater for 3rd. Michael looking for his 2nd win on the season after taking the checkers back to the road course of Watkins Glen. Got eliminated from the playoffs in the 1st round, so now he can go out there and just look for race wins. Carson's got a lot of decisions to make right here. He's looking in the rearview mirror, seeing where that 5 car is, but he's also got to look out the windshield and figure out where the momentum is in these respective lines. Right now, they're kind of stifling each other out here. Carson just defending the shorter way around the racetrack, at least for the moment, running behind the rookie points leader, Eric Monaco. Moves up the track, there does Carson. Reggie does the same, right up in front of Michael Norman. Watching that inside line there, looks like a couple of drivers have moved down to that inside line, trying to work their way forward. Henson, Matt McIntyre, and Austin LaPlante. We'll see if that works for them or not. I mean, they're stacked up pretty much on the top and the bottom. As to the bottom goes Reggie Fogelman, looking for the race lead here on Carson Gum. Had to lift as he got to the back bumper of Monaco. Carson will look to get the run off the corner to clear back for the top spot, which he will do. And then immediately after he's clear, he'll pull down in front of the 5. So Carson doing a really good job of defensive driving here. Ooh, Michael Norman a little wide there off of 4. Got up pretty close to the wall. Fogelman is edged out ahead. Can he clear off the corner is going to be the question. If he's clear, he probably would want to move up, but no, instead he'll stay to the bottom. Oh, Monaco's going to move down. Almost pinched off the 5, but now Carson gets kicked up to the top side 3 wide with Michael Norman and RJ Bishop. That's going to get Fogelman the race lead. And now they'll battle for second place. Exactly the scenario Reggie Fogelman wanted to see right there. They're still wadded up 3 wide for second. As Fogelman clear for the spot, he's got the lap car of RJ Bishop between himself and second place, which will now go to Michael Norman. Summer Henson's going to shoot the middle and go to third. That 78 car may not be done. Summer Henson has led 11 laps so far here today. Has had a car up in the top 5 most of the afternoon. As now Michael Norman looks to the inside of Reggie Fogelman for the top spot. Hiccup Bush dives low here on Michael Norman. Again, a lot of these drivers here, these lap down cars, battling the lead lap cars, but they're also battling other drivers for position here. So there's battles within battles going on. They're all intersecting and kind of getting in everybody's way at the same time. This is a nice run for Michael here through 1 and 2. See if he does anything with it. No, instead, Fogelman's going to move low on Eric Monaco. That might have been an offensive move on the 45, but a defensive move in case Michael tried to get to the inside for the race lead. Ooh, but Reggie, is this going to catch him out? Michael's trying to get to that right rear quarter panel. Not quite there. Fogelman, I think, is clear as Hiccup Bush bows to the inside of Norman. And Fogelman will open up a bit of a gap again. Coming around this time to 10 to go. Slow car again, and Levi McIntyre going to be in the way. And this is bad news if you're Michael Norman, because he's going to be trapped in that top line. Fogelman will go by on the inside line. Summer Henson will do the same. Michael's going to try. Well, I thought he was going to try and tuck down there in front of Carson Gum. That's not going to happen. We're still going to be wadded up as that 99 continues to be a menace on the racetrack. I mean, Levi is right now running about 15 miles per hour off the pace. And there's not a whole lot of room when you're double wide when you approach him. But Reggie Fogelman's not going to complain. He's now got a huge gap back to second, which right now will be Summer Henson. A couple of lap cars in the mix as well. I believe Fitzwater, make that Carson Gum rather, is now moved into third with Fitzwater fourth. Matt McIntyre in the 5th position. Again, the question mark of whether these drivers can make it on fuel or not, though. LaPlante, McCurry, those that pitted the second lap of caution, we believe can make it. But what about those that pitted on the first lap of caution? Can they make it the rest of the way? The fuel window has been today about 30 to 35 laps. We went back green with about 33 to go. So I would assume everybody can make it, but it's not a guarantee. And most of your race leaders have not been running up, in clean air. They've had the benefit of draft to maybe save some fuel. Well, I say that, And Trey Wright's hitting pit road. And this cannot be unscheduled, I don't think, so hold the phone on that. We may not have enough fuel to get to the end. Are we going to have ourselves pit stops in the final 5 laps of this race? We got more coming in. Sanford's coming in. Someone else up ahead. Casey Hoyt's coming in. We might not be able to make it. With less than 10 to go, we've got drivers coming to pit lane. Now, a number of those drivers are drivers that came to pit road under green flag conditions prior to the yellow coming out. So they would be a little bit shorter on fuel than these other guys. But if these other guys were only about 2-3 laps shorter on fuel than those that are coming to pit road right now, I don't think they're going to be able to make it. We'll see. Caleb Fogler is in. He was another of the drivers that stayed out. Kind of got caught out with the timing of the yellow. Summer Henson is closed up here as well. Going to take it 3 wide with the lap cars to get right up there to Reggie Fogelman. Who can make it on fuel? Anthony McCurry back there is in 4th. LaPlante is in 6th. Hiccup Bush is coming in. Carson Gumb's coming in. He was our leader when we went back green. If he can't make it, there's a lot of others that probably can't. Some other lap cars just ahead of him coming down pit road. Fogelman still stayed out, though. Does anybody got the fuel to make it to the end of this one now, is the question. Who's going to be gutsy? Who's going to gamble? Summer Henson's coming in from 2nd. Behind RJ Bishop. Matt McIntyre can't make it. Gunther Sustre can't make it. There's McCurry. There's LaPlante. Can Fogelman make it? Oh, he really feathered the throttle there through 1 and 2, trying to save something. This is for a playoff spot in the round of 8. I think he's coming in. He is. Anthony's in. LaPlante is in. Breeton's in. Chung's in. Who's going to make it? I don't think anybody did. Who cycles to the front now after all this is going to be the question, too. Is it going to be Carson Gum? There's Pote coming off of pit road. There's the 19. Where's the 78? Where's the 5? There's the 78. 78's going to come out ahead. Matt McIntyre right there with her. But now where's the 5 car of Reggie Fogelman? It's going to be the question. Where he cycles is going to determine this thing, I think. There's Anthony. There's LaPlante. There's the 5. This next time by, I think we're coming around to see the white flag, too. Where's the 78? Oh, nowhere to be found. Fogelman, I think, might have this. Unless Anthony's able to find an ungodly run here. I believe this time by is going to be the white flag, and Reggie Fogelman just needed a gas and go. A splash and go. Hits the stripe. White flag indeed is out. The strategy is going to maybe work. Hold it! Anthony's going to have a run down the back straightaway here with help from RJ Bishop and Benjamin Snyder. This thing is not over. Here comes Anthony. Can he get to the inside? Fogelman moves down to block. Fogelman's going to have it. Off of 4. Reggie Fogelman. He's going to lock himself into the round of 8. His 2nd win of the season. He'll take the checkers here this afternoon at Atlanta. Reggie Fogelman will go to the round of 8. A gutsy call, a gutsy performance. Fogelman becomes the 2nd playoff driver to win here in the postseason. And he will go into Arizona worry-free, knowing that he will be battling for the championship in the 3rd round, the round of 8. Anthony McCurry had a great run, probably needed another lap there. as he's still searching for his first career victory. Third career victory for Reggie Fogelman. Reggie won middle portion of the season, the regular season, at Kentucky to lock himself into the playoffs. Had, as we said, one of the best first rounds of the playoffs. He went into Nashville Superspeedway locked in on points, and now he locked himself into the round of 8 with a victory here this afternoon. He continues to compile up the list of multi-time winners here this season. And he started this race from 34th position. So you cannot tell me that you cannot pass at Atlanta. That's why this racetrack got moved from the beginning portion of the schedule down to a more prevalent spot just before the playoffs and now into the playoffs themselves. Great fuel strategy gamble there as well by Anthony McCurry and Austin LaPlante. I remember I was kind of questioning their strategy when they stayed out under that caution. They came to pit road on the second lap of caution to make sure they had a little bit extra in the tank. And they're going to get podium finishes as a result. Anthony in second and Austin in third. Matt McIntyre with a great run in fourth as we'll head to his home track next week. Summer Henson's going to get rookie of the race as she'll finish in fifth. Zachary Fitzwater, great run there. I mean, a great run for him overall, but a great run in the fact that all the Blue Oval Motorsports cars, aside from him, struggled today. There was no Caleb Fogler, no Trey Wright, no Benjamin Snyder in this race up there at the front at all. So good run for Fitzy. Kyler Sustre, good run for him in 7th after he started back in 38th. Connor Breton, we talked about him early in the race, and then we didn't really talk about him after that. Good run there. 8th for the 88. Laura Chung, another driver we really didn't talk about at all today, in 9th, and same for Cody Lamas in 10th. So a trio of drivers there getting some solid top 10 runs in the closing stages. So Fogelman won this race. He was the only playoff driver to finish inside of the top 10. A couple of drivers just outside the top 10 there. Nick Gunther 11th, Carson Gum 12th, Alexander Rowe in 14th. So they'll be in fairly good shape going into next week. Daniel Voiles came in the cut line driver. He'll finish 17th. Not great, but not terrible compared to a lot of other playoff drivers. James Qualls was 19th. Ryan Brommer 20th. RJ Bishop finished the first car one lap down. That caution did not help him at all, as he'll finish in 26th. Another driver that it hurt was Jack Mitchell, who finished back in 36th position. And then Levi McIntyre damaged off the pace, multiple laps down, 39th. Matt Haas did not reach the conclusion in 40th. So McIntyre, Mitchell, Haas, Bishop, these are drivers that are going to find themselves in a bit of a precarious position going into next week at Arizona Speedway. And tough break there with that caution coming out, too. I mean, Benjamin Miles had a race-winning car. Casey Hoyt had a race-winning car. They didn't get to show it because they got trapped a lap down with the timing of that yellow. But that's the pitfalls of multiple green flag pit stops at a racetrack like Atlanta. It works out for some. It doesn't work out for others. But it works out big time for Reggie Fogelman as he picks up the 5th win of the season for Haas Racing, but 2nd win of the season for him overall, 3rd win of his career, and he has locked himself into the round of 8. So 7 more drivers yet to be determined that are going to be moving on into the next round of the playoffs, and we'll find out who they are going to be when we head to Arizona Speedway next week. We'll join up with the Light Series drivers as well, as we'll have another doubleheader here in the postseason. Cannot wait for that one. Thank you all for tuning in to today's race here from Atlanta. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We showed your full finish results. You're now looking at your point stands and your playoff stands as a result of today's finishes. And we will see you guys next week for our 2nd elimination race of the season here for the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.